Showtime.
Showtime.
Okay, all right. All right. The City of San Juan Bautista City Council, regular City Council meeting of Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 is now in session. So let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Vice Mayor Jordan, will you please lead us in?
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call.
Mayor Edge.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jordan. Here. Councilmember DeVries. Councilmember Flores.
Here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. So now we go on to item 2, public comment. Public comment is anything that is not, any item that is not on the agenda today. You have 3 minutes, and we do have a monitor who keeps track of who raises their hand or has filled in a form prior to, so please be ready to say your public comment. And I see Cara Vonk waving.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is public comment, right?
Yes, anything that is not on the agenda.
Okay. This comment is on the 3rd Street street repair. I don't think it's on the agenda.
Nope.
And I want to thank the city of San Juan Bautista, the city council, the city manager Don Reynolds, the city engineer Julie Desum, and her assistant Eric, who was out there every day, and the Chapin Wood crew, who did a beautiful job, and it was obvious that they took pride in their work. I also want to thank the city and Ms. Bezan for going the extra mile for our city of history, for adding some colorant to the new sidewalks so that they were easily blended with the existing concrete. Thank you. It was a beautiful job. We're really happy. Thanks again. That's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Irene Guevara. I called it a speaker card. And at this point, I'd like to defer my public commentary minutes to Rosa Vivian Fernandez of the San Benito Health Foundation.
Rosa?
Go ahead.
Okay, so good evening. I just wanted to share with the council some exciting news. San Benito Health Foundation has been working on a project for a number of years, and we just this week closed on the property, what we lovingly call the Brigantino property on Alameda, which is going to be our blue zone community that will hopefully provide housing for our employees and a healthy living environment. And a second property, which is on McCullumney in Monterey, the Manning property, where we are planning a learning health center. We look forward to working with City Council and management staff so we can bring these projects to fruition.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. Thank you for that report, Vivian. Anyone else?
Oh, there's Dan Fernandez. Wow.
So So it doesn't look like we have any more public comments, so we'll go on to item 3, consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion, authorizing actions indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the City Council, a staff member, or a citizen.
I'll make a motion that all matters under the consent item be enacted.
I second it.
Thank you. So a motion was made by Vice Mayor Jordan and seconded by Councilman Flores.
Roll call vote. Councilmember DeVries. Councilmember Flores.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Edge.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes 4-0 to 1 with Councilmember DeVries being absent.
Thank you. So now we go on to item 4, presentations, informal items, and reports. And the first one we have is 4A, proclamations declaring September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So is there anybody here to recognize the proclamation? I wonder. Guess not. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Whereas the character of our community is revealed in how we treat our most vulnerable, and whereas each day 1 in every 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer, and whereas cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease among children, more than asthma, diabetes, cystic fibrosis, congenital abnormalities, and AIDS combined. And whereas during the COVID-19 crisis, Jacob's Heart has been keeping medically fragile children and families housed, fed, and emotionally supported by steadfastly adhering to the following commitments. Parents of children with cancer and other serious illnesses will be relieved of financial fears and be able to focus attention on their children. No child undergoing intensive treatment in our community will be homeless. Families of seriously ill children will not experience food insecurity during and after the pandemic. And no seriously ill child in our community will ever miss a medical appointment because of lack of transportation. And whereas Jacob's Heart holds the memories and honors the legacies of hundreds of children from our local community who have been lost to cancer, ensuring that their precious memories will never be forgotten. And whereas the oncology department in Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford has worked closely with Jacob's Heart for the past 22 years as a trusted community partner in providing family-centered care that addresses the emotional, practical, and financial struggles of families of children with cancer in San Juan Bautista. And whereas it is important for all San Juan Bautista residents to recognize the impact of pediatric cancer on families within our community and honor the lives of children in our community whose lives have been cut short by cancer. Now therefore, I, Mary Vasquez Edge, Mayor of the City of San Juan Bautista, hereby declare September 2020 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of San Juan Bautista, and do hereby honor Jacob's Heart Children's Cancer Support Services for outstanding support to our community and acknowledge the organization's contributions to the awareness of childhood cancer. So this proclamation is going to be mailed, I believe, to the recipients.
Yeah, I was just double checking. I don't see anyone here to accept it.
Okay, all right. All right, so now we go on to item 4B, presentation by Clay Kempf, Executive Director of Area Agency on Aging of Santa Cruz and San Benito counties. Welcome, Clay. Where are you?
Here he is. Hi, Clay.
Hi.
Can you share your screen, Clay?
Hi, everybody. Excuse me, I missed the question. I talked over it.
Can you share your screen? You have a slide presentation today, right?
I do, yeah. So I was going to just wait till you guys wanted me to turn on share screen. So I'm turning that on right now. My experience with Zoom is it usually shows up a little bit later on everybody's screen than what I see. But hopefully it's there now. Objective for this evening. You guys all seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So should I take off on this and start in?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I got a couple dozen slides here, and I'm not going to linger over a bunch of them, and the presentation hopefully won't be as long as that sounds. But I do want to do two things. Really, first, appreciate the council and Mayor Edge inviting me to make this presentation. And the point of it is really to talk about older adults in our community and some of the things that we're trying to do for them, and also some unmet needs that are going on. So you see my name in this. I'm Executive Director of the Seniors Council, and I've been in that position for about 20 years now. It's been a nice gig for me. So we're going to talk about who the Seniors Council is, and then share one of the current projects that we're working on to hopefully improve the lives of older adults in San Juan and in the county in general. So we're a private nonprofit. The Seniors Council has been around for a while, and we operate 5 independent nonprofit programs. So this is the list. You don't need to know who all these are, but I mean, quickly, Companion for Life is an emergency response. Help Me, I've Fallen program. Project Scout does tax counseling assistance in Santa Cruz County only. Companion for Life is in both Santa Cruz and a little bit of Monterey and a little bit of San Benito County. Foster grandparent and senior companion programs match up low-income seniors, and the foster grandparents work in local schools as volunteers, and senior companions help other seniors. Those 2 programs operate in Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, and Monterey counties in addition to San Benito County. And then we're the state or federally designated area agency on aging for San Benito and Santa Cruz County. So that's a quick overview of who we are. We're a private nonprofit organization, and we're governed by a volunteer board of directors. So what's an area agency on aging, or what's a AAA? And I'm going to say AAA a lot tonight because area agency on aging becomes a mouthful, and it's going to make this presentation twice as long if I say that. So apologies for the acronym. But AAAs, every part of the United States has a designated area agency on aging. And you can see on here that our duties are really to respond to the needs of older Americans. Older Americans are defined as 60 plus for this category for the Older Americans Act. And our goal is really to help seniors living independently and increase and improve their quality of life. And I'm killing my power there, though. So the other pieces of that, or how we do it, is annually we receive about $2.5 million in state and federal funds. And that's to either operate programs directly, or in our case, for the most part, contract out with other community-based organizations that are already doing quality work. So rather than duplicate those services, we try to fund it or augment it. And then there's a variety of other responsibilities on here. I think monitoring the quality of service of those providers is a really big one. And the other is that we're required by law to actually advocate on behalf of older adults and their families. So just a couple more bullet points about what we were supposed to do. Some of that is mentioned in the other slides or the other couple of slides. But I think some of these are pretty interested in. And one is that we have to find local matched funds for any of these services. The feds provide the vast majority, but one of their requirements is that if you're going to receive federal funds to provide human services, they want to make sure that the local community is supporting that and contributing between 10 and 25% of matching funds. So again, these are the sorts of things we do with that. Provide direct services, contract for, monitor, and provide technical assistance to those. We have a 4-year planning cycle. You can pick the starting year of this any place you want because it's truly a cycle and the cycle goes around. So, one thing we do is conduct a senior needs assessment, and that's been done. That was done in 2019. So I'm going to have some highlights from that. We create an area plan based on some of the things that come out from that needs assessment. We released a request for proposals to see who wants to provide services that are described in the area plan. And then year 4 is kind of when all these things come together and that people or contracted providers just go about operating the services. And we're not in a planning process. It's kind of for us as staff, that's the year that we can do creative things because we don't have these larger projects to take care of. But this cycle, the award of contracts, it's continual. The contracts are typically for 4 years, renewable annually. So at any time in this 4-year cycle, the services will be continuing. It's just a matter of where we are on this. And then the area plan is updated annually, as are the contracts. So if something unusual happens that requires us to adjust the service we're providing, we can do that on an annual basis. And guess what? We have a pandemic going on right now which seriously impacts older adults. So we're doing a lot of adjustments to our service models. A couple things. The general population in California over the last decade, it's grown by 7%. But what's really interesting about this is that for people under the age of 60, the growth has only been 1.2%, which over a decade is very low. For people 60 and over, the growth is not 3%, it's 36%. So we have a huge growth going on already about older adults. People talk about the coming of the aging of the boomers. It's here. And this graph shows that San Benito County is no different than the rest of the state. In fact, I think the average over the past decade is real close. I think it's around 35% for San Benito County. So, and it's projected to go on for a while. We're going to have about twice as many seniors in 2050 as we have now. It's a gradual growth. If you saw this broken down by other age groups, you would see that the older, the 85 plus curve is even more dramatic. So lots of need, lots of demand for what we're trying to do. So in that, we're these 3 things. This is how I normally think about us. We're a funding source, we're an advocacy organization, and we're a provider of service. And I think the next question is, well, who provides these local services or services to older adults? And it's really a combination. These aren't all things that we fund, but if you think about how older adults that need help get assistance, local government provides substantial funding to help programs survive. That's part of the match I was talking about earlier. Community-based organizations provide a lot of the direct service, and for San Juan, the most obvious provider would be Hopeless de Antonio, who I think most of you know. But there's a handful of others as well. Senior Citizens Legal Services provides legal assistance, and Advocacy Inc. Provides nursing home protection, and Senior Network Services provides health insurance counseling assistance program, and we'll see more about them in a few slides. Also, for-profit businesses are a big source of how seniors get help, either through direct hire, or if you think about seniors needing assisted devices. A lot of those things are just purchased or installed. Home modification. Lots of contractors will build ramps or new steps or put grab bars in a senior's house. And of course, our church groups are key in helping out those in need. And then one group that's forgotten, but is actually the primary care provider of older adults in the community, is family members. Family caregivers provide the bulk of services to older adults in our country, really. So on this chart, I hope you can see it. For some reason, every time I retype it, half the words come out really blurred, and I just cannot fix it. And I've tried for a couple of years now. But in terms of community and government services, there's kind of two sources. On the left, there are services that the county pays for or partially pays for, and that would include Hogan's, Senior People, and our own services, foster grandparents, etc. And then all the blue agencies on here are also funded by us, and in many cases, we're providing the bulk of the funding, more than anyone else in the community. And then there's a few nonprofits that, for various reasons, are not funded by us or by the county, but provide critical services nevertheless to our seniors. So I put them on here. I probably missed a couple organizations, but I share this just to show that it's truly a partnership in how services are delivered. Various organizations come together and provide funding and oversight in order to meet the vast number of needs that we have. Earlier I talked about the senior needs assessment that is part of our cycle, and I wanted to share the results of the last time we conducted a survey, which was 2019, so this is pretty fresh. And these are top 10 needs in San Benito County. We did about 1,000 surveys, and I'm trying to remember the percentage that was in San Benito County, probably about 20%.
Where is it? How do I do that?
So you can see, how this plays out. Understanding Medicare or Medi-Cal surprised us as being the top unmet need, although it ranked very high in Santa Cruz County also. And this is when you turn 65 and become eligible for Medicare, navigating that system and figuring out what you need in supplemental care is very confusing. So HICAP actually addresses this need. HICAP does workshops and one-on-one counseling to help people get signed up for Medicare. I don't want to read this whole list to everybody. I do want to say that paying for dental care has been number one in these surveys for the past 12 years. So this is the first year in a while where we've seen it drop from the top spot, but it is still a very high need. And then 4 and 5, feeling sad or depressed or lonely and isolated, are surprisingly high for us. I think it talks or speaks to a couple issues, especially just isolation, and especially if people live in rural communities. If they lose a spouse, suddenly they'll find their network and social network is gone. All these surveys were done before COVID, so we're sure the results would be different now, but I think feeling sad or depressed or lonely and isolated would be, if anything, higher on the list. So, what are we doing about this? There's some major projects underway that I want to share. One of them is both gubernatorial candidates before the election committed to creating a master plan for aging. So Governor Newsom won the election, so he's put together a task force, which I was honored to be a member of, to create this plan for how California is going to deal with those numbers we saw earlier. That vast growth of the aging population. How will it be addressed? Creation of age-friendly communities. This is a project of the World Health Organization, and AARP is leading the effort in California, or actually in the United States, and it's exactly what it sounds like. What can we do to make our communities more age-friendly, more senior-friendly, more livable? Livable communities is also used for this. Studies have shown that if you make a community age-friendly, that it's also friendly for other age groups, and everybody really thrives when you focus on this. So that's a new thing that the state is trying to do. The state actually took action to become designated a state-friendly community. And there's 49 cities or counties right now that are formally engaged in being age-friendly. This might be something that San Juan does in the future, and it's a project that we hope to host and move forward on. We're not doing that right now because we're engaged in this next category, no wrong door access and services, also known as aging and disability resource connections. And again, this is trying to make it so when a person needs help, they don't need to go to 20 organizations or agencies. Too often, all of our funding is in these strict silos, and if somebody needs help, they get told, well, we can help you get this, but after you see us, you need to go find somebody else to get transportation from. After you get transportation set up, you need to go to someplace else in order to get food. Oh, you need legal assistance? All right, let's give you another number for legal assistance. The idea here is to not bounce people around to that degree. Make sure they get the help they need. So that's what I want to highlight today and talk about a little bit. A year ago, California declared that they want to make these ADRC grants a reality. So they have set up half a dozen programs that are already doing this, and another nine projects to be pilot programs. We applied to be one of those pilot programs and applied to do it in San Benito County, and were graciously awarded such a project. So he's not here with me today, but some of you will meet before too long. Rick Bassoni, who is heading up this project for us. And it's really about coordinating access to services. And the ADRC model has 4 core components. So one of them is called options counseling, and this assists people who are coming to get help in identifying what help they need and coordinating their access to it, just like we were talking about before. Short-term service coordination is for people that are experiencing a crisis. It could be short-term hospitalization. It could be a longer-term situation that's developing and a person needs more intensive service to get them through whatever this tough time is. And if you think about that, if somebody has, a short-term hospitalization, what happens when they go home? Life isn't linear, or it's not a switch, it's linear. That you leave the hospital, you're not well, you have this transition period where you're going to need additional service and assistance, maybe to somebody to help bathe, maybe somebody to help you eat, or someone to provide food, etc. So the idea is to have this short-term service coordination to get people from that gap of a traumatic or major change in their condition back to independence. Transition services also include not only hospitalization, but also people who are living in skilled nursing. and they're able to return home at some point or have that goal, so it's to set up vehicles and supports for people to do that. One of the reasons why we like this is we know it costs about $90,000 a year in either private or public dollars for somebody to live in a nursing facility. If we can find a way to support that person living independently with in-home support or with home-delivered meals or whatever they need, typically that can be done even with extensive care for maybe $30,000 a year. That might sound like a lot, but it saves either the family or the state and our taxpayers 2/3 of the cost of them living in a facility. And all this really hinges around this item, which is enhanced information and referral services, or information and assistance. And, again, it's getting people connected with the services that they need or want and helping them enroll. It's easy to get a list of where you need to go to get help. It's another thing to visit all those agencies or fill out all of the application, jump through the red tape in order to get there. What we're trying to do with this is get the list, develop that with the individual, and then helping them through the process of becoming eligible or receiving the different services. And I think one part of this, we're not talking about a giant center that everybody goes to. The no wrong door concept is really to make sure that if somebody's comfortable or familiar with a certain agency, that they can go to that agency but still get connected to other services in the community. And that's why we're calling it a connection, an aging and disability resource connection, rather than a center. So the key partners that we're working on with this, besides ourselves being a lead agency, the Central Coast Center for Independent Living, they serve people with disabilities, and they have been, frankly, absent from our community for a number of years, and people with disabilities have kind of been on their own. So we're excited about bringing their services back into San Benito County and making sure that our local people with disabilities or seniors who are experiencing disabilities have that support. And I'm really happy that they're excited about it too. So they'll become a key player in our community. Jóvenes de Antaño is a key partner. They're just kind of the hub of where senior services are provided throughout the community. So we're looking at the center, the community center in Hollister being probably the key focal point. And then our other partners, there's a lot of other partners on here, but probably the next key one is County Health and Human Services, given the extensive programs that they provide. The oversight is local and statewide. So locally, we have designated the San Benito County Aging and Long-Term Care Commission as the official advisory body to the ADRC project. We're in the middle on here because we are receiving the designation of the lead agency to implement this. So we'll be tracking that and making sure it takes place. And then the last agency listed on here, which I, of course, messed up my PowerPoint once again, but the last agency is California Department of Aging, since they are the funders and have the ultimate authority in determining whether or not this effort is successful. So those are the slides I have, and if there's questions, love to answer them. I see there's some here in the chat.
Yeah.
So,
But I thought that was I just wanted to give you a quick overview on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to help improve services to the community. And public knowledge and awareness is going to be important as we move this project forward, because it's fine if we know about it, but it's more important that the community learn about it.
okay, so, well, I'm going to start with questions from our city council members. So, Councilman Flores, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions, but I'd like to thank Clay for your presentation. It was very clear, a lot of information. Thank you.
Councilman Freeman?
I would like to echo what Councilman Flores just said, and I'd like to ask about, because there was a question in the chat room about demographics, and is the change just because of the people who were born here, or people who are moving here? In case, has it been divided up that finely?
Yeah, that has been looked at, and it's mostly people who are aging here. California is not a place that people migrate to retire unless they're very well off. So for a long time, 20 years ago, if you saw these numbers, the aging population was slowly increasing nationally, but California was flat or actually decreasing. So Californians were migrating out of the state. In more recent years, the entire nation is aging. In fact, the entire planet is, but especially the United States. So these trends in rapid growth figures are not just unique to California. If you go to, I think, any state in the union right now, you'd see a similar increase. California might be slightly higher. California does now lead the nation in the most older adults. Great question.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jordan, do you have any question or comment?
No, thank you very much, Clay.
So, Clay, I have a question. What are we doing with the foster grandparents right now that, the schools are so, wacky right now?
Yeah, Mary, this is a great question, and I was actually on vacation last week, so I haven't connected with our director, but it's a huge challenge for those who don't know the program very well. These are our low-income seniors that go into schools and work with 2 or 3 children in each class. The teachers love them, the children love them, the class performance of the students, of all the students in the class, but especially the one that the seniors work with, goes up dramatically. So with COVID-19, 2 things are happening. One, schools are closed, but also putting a senior into a classroom is probably, it's not the worst thing we could do for them, but it's far from the best. So the program is essentially shut down right now. We're in the process of developing a way for the volunteers to be part of the remote learning team. It's tricky because it's already complicated to do, remote or distance learning. So how we get the seniors and the teachers all on the same page to do that is a project that, we're trying to pilot it. It's kind of a pilot for the whole state. I don't have details yet about exactly which schools we're piloting in or where it's starting, but that's one piece of it. We're also going to try to have that sort of support done remotely with students doing homework, so that maybe outside of the classroom times, the senior can connect with each of them remotely and help them do work. I think it works better for English and reading than it does for math. Having been a tutor in my past, thinking about how to tutor those 2 skills, it's pretty different, and it's pretty easy to have somebody read to you or read with you, but it's a lot harder to put numbers to paper and see how you would add those up or teach people how to do that. So, we're open to ideas. So if anybody has some great solutions, we'd love to hear them. Not all classrooms are going to be, set up for this, and not all of our volunteers are going to be adept at technology and able to use it, which is a whole nother piece of what we're trying to do, is how do we bring up the electronic skills of our volunteers to a level where this will work for everybody.
Thank you, Clay. Now, do we have any,
Dan is at the meeting also. Dan joined.
I'm sorry?
Dan joined, Councilmember DeVries joined the meeting.
Oh, you're here. Councilman DeVries, do you have any comments or questions? Were you able to listen to the presentation?
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor. I listened to the whole presentation. I have a list of about 16 questions here, so I'll just start with the first one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm good. Thank you.
So, oh, you're good. You don't have any
He's good.
questions? Okay,
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I'm going to thank the presenter for a very effective presentation.
okay, great. Thank you. So do we have any questions or comments from the public? Do we have anything?
I don't see any hands up.
Cara made a comment.
Cara did?
Yeah. Cara made a comment, perhaps putting this service, including it in the city's utility bill.
What does she mean?
I don't understand. Cara, can you explain that?
I just advertising, promoting them in the,
Expound on it?
Cara, can you hear us?
She's looking for unmute.
Let me take a shot at answering that and see if I answer it right, because it can be taken two ways. But one way in the past that we've promoted new programs is by having a flyer inserted into utility bills, and that's a great way to raise awareness because everyone gets those and opens those. Is that what your idea was?
Yes, it is. I think we should know about the programs that you offer.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We've not done anything like that in a long time, so I'm making a note for us to do that, and we'll follow through and see if we can get the word out better.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Cara. Is there anyone else? If not, Clay, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule because I know how busy you are. And I really appreciate what you do. And I'm happy that you came by, or that not came by, but you presented to us this evening. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You will, and I'll just waste everybody's time just a smidgen more. One of the reasons why the mayor and I know each other is that our agency, our AAA, has an official advisory council, which is appointed by cities
I think he was applauding.
in the two counties, and also the county board of supervisors.
He did?
So Mayor Edge is one of our advisory council members, and we're really thrilled to have San Benito County or San Juan Bautista representation on that. So at some point she might tap one of you to replace her when she gets tired of looking at my face and listening to me ramble on for too long. But her participation is certainly appreciated, and again, so thankful that I've been invited here, and always happy to come or communicate however we can.
Thank you, Clay. Okay.
So, okay, Dan was applauding, not, or did he have a question?
Okay, no. So
No?
no more questions.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll go on to item C, 4C, monthly financial statements.
Okay, well, I hit the recording button. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. This is our first report of the fiscal year, so there's not a lot of activity here, reflecting about 8%, 1 out of 12 months, in other words. I'm happy to answer any questions. If there are specific bills that we've been paying that you're curious about, I'll take a shot at it. Otherwise, it's pretty simple this month because it's only the month of July. Wait to see, Mayor. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Councilman Freeman, questions, comments?
Not right now, no, thank you though.
Councilman Flores,
No questions, no comments, thank you.
Councilman DeVries,
No questions.
Vice Mayor.
I am
Jordan.
good, thank you.
Okay, good, and I don't have any questions.
Okay.
So now we go on to item 4D, our city manager's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I won't reiterate the entire report. I'll just summarize quickly that our staffing seems to have settled down, and that's summarized in the report, repurposing some of our COVID efforts to other general efforts at City Hall. We continue to be very busy. The community liaison, working with our downtown businesses and helping with parklets, still very busy every day. We brought in a provisional temporary employee, former city manager Marty Brown, and she's helping us with several community development grant programs, working with Harrison Associates, as we'll see later in tonight's agenda. Thank you for approving the continuation of the budget for one more month. We have the numbers entered into the system, and we're just ironing it out. So I hope to get that published in draft form for the public and for the city council in the near future, and hopefully by Friday is my goal. The planning department is now working well with the iWorks software. It helps us to track our programs, and it also helps us to provide regular reporting to the city council on the community development, building permit applications, and code enforcement. Our ad hoc committee is also on this agenda later. The Urban Growth Boundary Ad Hoc Committee has met twice, and we'll hear a report later in the agenda when we talk about the scope of work for Harrison Associates. The owner of Casa Rosa has submitted plans for the development last week. Hopefully within 6 weeks or so, we can get to a building permit with Casa Rosa. Meritage Homes is 60% complete with the design of the roundabout on First Street. They were hoping to break ground this fall. So that's exciting. That project is moving forward. Public Works at 3rd Street. Thank you, Caravang, for your great compliments. We appreciate that. Julie has worked, our city engineer Julie has worked very hard on that project, and you can see the results. The parks update. We are working on 3 different parks right now. The Luck Park Master Plan has come back from a community meeting in draft form. Franklin Park is also being designed as we speak. That's a parklet, we call it, a little park. And after receiving a bid for designing a restroom at about $43,000 at Rudy Park, we are looking into prefabricated designs. They're much nicer than the previous designs that the city invested in. But if we can get a prefabricated restroom for Rudy Park for $60,000, then we wouldn't need to pay $43,000 just to design it. So those are all moving forward in the form of CIPs for the new fiscal year. Code enforcement is working hard, up to 20 hours a week in code enforcement, and also helping to manage our public safety efforts. Following up and working well with the sheriff's office and with our private security firm Level 1. So water is also on the agenda tonight. We're presenting our master plans for both wastewater and water. Those are super big accomplishments for us, so I'm proud to bring those forward to you. We introduced them last Tuesday, and they're coming forward to you tonight for acceptance. And the COVID-19 is also on the agenda for later tonight, so we can leave that till we get to that part of the agenda. So that's all I have. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So any questions? Councilman Freeman, do you have any questions or comments?
Not right now. Thank you, Don, for a really great report. I just want to, kind of follow up. We've had a few law enforcement issues lately, so just close tabs on the sheriff's department.
Understood.
Thank you. Councilman Flores, any questions or comments?
No questions. Done for all your work.
Thank you. Councilman DeVries, any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. One follow-up question. Don, you mentioned in your status regarding La Casa Rosa, I think I heard you say they're coming in for building permits shortly.
They submitted their application. They're in plan check now.
That's great. That's really good news. Just out of curiosity, where are they in the parking in lieu fee?
Well, at the very least, we'll get the $25,000 deposit until we can work out leasing parking for the residents. So we can hold that as leverage until we work something out. I have been unable to find time to look at leased parking downtown. I'm just hoping we have visitors downtown that need to park. So one thing at a time. But yes, the developer's asking the same question, council member, so we'll get to the bottom of it in the near future.
Excellent, thanks, Don.
Thank you. Okay, Vice Mayor Jordan, do you have any questions?
Code enforcement, are we getting an update on what goes on?
Yeah, he's been struggling with personal issues, and so I've asked him for a report, and hopefully he'll be able to come in tomorrow, or at least by the end of the week, to provide a status report for the city council. There are a number of active cases that he's working on,
Thank you.
including chickens, I'll say.
Yeah. Okay, all right, and I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Been down that chicken road before.
yeah.
Apparently, I have not, so
Yeah,
it'll be
no,
an
it's there.
adventure.
It's your first time. Okay. Now we go on to 4E, reports from city council appointees to regional organizations and committees. So, Mr. Freeman, would you like to go first?
Sure. So, last week, AMBAG met, and we voted on a mission statement for them to keep working on their sustainable regional growth forecast, which they do update every 4 years. And also, we voted on a draft Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary Management Plan. The management plan is made up of many agencies, some of which we have become quite familiar with, such as the State Water Board and the EPA. And we will, AMBAG will have a seat at the table with those on an equal footing, but the organization has no regulatory powers. So that's kind of what AMBAG did last week. Central Coast Community Energy has a new name. It used to be called Monterey Bay Community Power. Now it's 3CE, or Central Coast Community Energy. The new website has a name, or the new name is on the website, whichever way you want to look at it. And we, on September 3rd, the policy board met. We adopted a new policy on power procurement, which is a really important thing for what we do. In fact, it's about 90% of what we do. And we're going to our rat race to be completely carbon free as of right now, and we'll get on a different rat race of procuring new carbon free power from new power sources, which means they have to be built. Okay, so while they're being built, we occasionally might use what's called unspecified power, which could be have some carbon. But it's a bridge to get to where we have to go, because the only way we're going to get more carbon-free power is to build more carbon-free power plants, such as the Castle Wind off of Morro Bay, which is offshore wind, such as a huge solar farm in Morro Bay with battery storage backup, which will eventually take the place of the power plant that operates there now. And we have another large solar and battery farm in southern Monterey County, and I'm working on trying to get them to think about doing one in San Benito County. It's just like southern Monterey County. Southern San Benito County has lots of open space, few cows and a few steers, and they get along just fine with solar panels. So that's really the report for now, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Flores, do you have anything to report?
No report. LAPO did not meet this month, so we'll meet next month.
Okay. All right. Councilman DeVries, do you have anything to report?
Well, I don't know if you want to report on the EGB committee area you want me to, or...
You can go ahead. You
Or we
can go
can-
ahead, and if he wants to report.
Sure, or we can cover it with the other item. It doesn't
No,
matter.
you can go
Well,
ahead.
that's what I was going to say, Don. Maybe, since it's on the agenda, I think that's kind of
All right.
discussed.
Okay, so then you can report on that when we get
Yeah.
to that item. All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Vice Mayor Jordan.
San Benito County water did not meet, and I was on the election committee for the League of Cities, Monterey Bay Division, and the announcements will be coming out soon on who's moving where.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
You're okay. Thank you. All right. So I have to thank Clay for the presentation. So I'm not going to, hold you up because he did a really good job letting people know about the area agency. And then we haven't had our COG meeting yet, so we're meeting Thursday. So that's it for me. We'll go on to item 5. We're going to go on to action items. And the first one is review the draft water and wastewater master plans and consider a resolution to accept the plans. So if anybody has anything to ask about it.
I got a few slides, Mayor. So I'll just try and review real quick. Am I sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, great. Okay. Slideshow from the beginning. All right. So just in general, I'll give an overview quick because we generally have an item just to touch bases on what's happening with water. There's a lot of moving parts, as we know. The EPA administrative order consent was signed last month, and it has a tight schedule in it, and we're meeting that schedule tonight by sending our water and wastewater plans to them for review. So we are in compliance with it and we are on schedule. So that's good to report to the City Council. Been working and learning about industrial pre-treatment permitting for our 3 industrial users. We started retesting at Earthbound Farms owned by Taylor Farms, and that started Friday. And that's a 2-week process, testing the quality of their water before we venture into a nexus study that will establish limits for the chemicals that they send to our wastewater treatment plant. And that's a critical component, as we know, for working towards cleaner water. They are on notice that the permitting is required, and we are looking at developing a program for the city of San Juan. And to that end, I spoke with the city of Watsonville on Friday, and it's an industrial permitting program that requires some staff, some fees, some money. It's not taken lighthearted. The former city engineer is now working with Gonzalez, and he's out with an RFP to get a study to look into establishing a permitting plan for Gonzalez. So we'll copy that instead of duplicate it and see what that has in store for us. The Water Board has weighed in on a draft letter and survey that we want to mail to each household in San Juan Bautista to verify our disadvantaged community status. That's what DAC stands for. And we worked on that also Friday afternoon, and I hope to get that survey out by this Friday, because that needs to be out as soon as possible, and that DAC status is really important to helping us fund our solutions and our compliance projects. So that's a critical element. We appreciate the community's support responding to that survey when they get it. And we'll follow up with everyone to make sure that we get a good response. So we have a good firm that the council hired a couple meetings ago, ASR, and we're working together with them. So what we're bringing forward tonight is a repeat performance of what we did last Tuesday. Last Tuesday we introduced our water and wastewater master plans. And the water and wastewater master plans are a comprehensive system assessment describing for us where our assets are for these 2 systems and what condition the assets are in, as far as where our wells are, how we're providing our source water, and then how we're delivering that water to our residents through pipes and valves and pumps. And then collecting that water in the form of wastewater and pumping that wastewater to our wastewater treatment plant. The 4 components are all outlined in these plans, as well as a forecast based on our general plan. And our general plan extends to 2036 with a population growth of several thousand people. That's what the general plan currently projects. That's our 2016 general plan. So if we go to the population in 2036, what kind of improvements do we need to make to our water and wastewater systems? Are all defined and described in the plan, and they're also costed out for us. So we know which improvements will be needed for maintenance, and they would be paid for using the revenue from our water and sewer rates that we collect from our users. And then as we need to add capital, additional water storage, additional lift stations, additional sources for water, those would be borne by the new development that would cause the population to increase. So that's all now defined and used to justify establishment of impact fees. So if we had a developer come and want to build new homes or industry in our city, we could justify impact fees that would pay for the cost of the capital improvements down the road. So that's why these plans are great to have and a critical component. They're also critical to the EPA and the Water Board. They had a lot to do with forming the outcome of these plans. And again, their goal for us was to send them these plans on the 15th of September. So these are slides from last meeting. I just wanted to review, especially for members of the community that were unable to attend on Tuesday the 8th. And I've already covered a lot of these bullets, so I'm going to just move right through them. Moving forward, from this day forward, there's a key part to our plans. It's referred to as a preliminary engineers report, the PER. This is the basis for a grant to the USDA grant application that would help us fund both a loan and grant that could help us fund a majority of our improvement projects, which is a great opportunity. So we wrote this report for the USDA and for their grant and loan application. The engineers report talks about different options that we have for solving our water problems. The water that we get from the wells in our community tends to be hard and very high in salt. And so with that, we wanted to look at various ways of either treating that water or importing potable water from a different water district or a different well. So it analyzes those options and water sources and makes a recommendation. It also makes a second recommendation on how to best handle our wastewater, whether we're making improvements at our current facility or bringing in new equipment and changing out the whole process, reverse osmosis and other types of treatment processes, or possibly putting that water in a pipe and sending it to Hollister to their regional water treatment plant. So these options are all evaluated in this report, and the council is going to be asked to select two of these best options, one for source water and one for water treatment. And these are called compliance projects. And we've scheduled a town hall meeting September 29th so that the community can learn more detail about the options that the council will be deliberating about. And it's the goal from the EPA to have these compliance projects selected by October 15th. So we're moving quickly towards a solution. We're also exploring how to finance that solution. So with that, Mayor, I've provided a resolution for the City Council to consider that will add to our master plans as we hopefully feel free to ask any questions and help the council understand these better and the community as well. But, I look forward to sending these off to the EPA and the Water Board.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's really hard with a mask on.
I know. So,
It's really hard.
Vice Mayor Jordan, do you want to go first with any questions that you might have, comments regarding this?
Do we have to make a motion first on this and then ask
No,
questions?
we can discuss before, right?
Yeah, I would discuss it before. Might change your mind.
Thank you. These are just in draft, and what we are doing right here at this meeting is accepting these documents and not making any decisions towards them.
Right.
Thank you. And these plans go along with, this is something that we discussed earlier, these plans go along with our general plan and follow the same timeline as our general plan. And is there another plan?
We talked, Councilmember, Vice Mayor Jordan, about these growth projections and how they would work together. And we also talked about the pavement management plan and how that has identified the status of our streets and our traffic system and how the two could work together as far as fixing our infrastructure comprehensive way rather than piecemeal.
So all of the plans that we're working on now, the water plan, the wastewater master plan, the general plan, the roads plan are all synchronous, and we'll be moving along together, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every year or every council meeting or through new council members, and go out to
36.
2036.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Councilman Freeman, do you have any questions, comments?
Well, I'd just like to echo what Councilman Jordan just said. I completely agree with it. It's about time we have a comprehensive plan that we can, not only we can look at, but people in the future can look at and see what needs to be done. Obviously, our pipes underground are very old and aging, and it's always good to do everything at once because it ends up being a lot cheaper. You have to pave whatever road, and then dig it up 2 years later. You wasted your money on the first major dig. So I just congratulate everyone and particularly the engineers on the great job they did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman DeVries, do you have anything to say? Any comments or questions?
No, I don't have any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Flores, do you have anything, any questions, comments?
No comments.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I want to touch on is, in addition to everything that Vice Mayor Jordan mentioned, because we're synchronizing everything, our sphere of influence and urban growth boundaries
Correct.
will be one of those things that is also synchronized with this whole plan.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Thank you, Mayor. Because as we grow, we have to describe, and we can get into this into the next set of slides,
Right.
but we'll have to describe how we're going to provide services for the growth areas, yes.
Okay, all right. So if we go on further, I need a motion.
Were there members of the public?
Oh, members of the public, wait, I
Oh,
forgot.
I'm so
Members-
sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh,
He said nothing.
he
Go
said
ahead. I
nothing.
was gonna make a motion. Go ahead.
Do we have does the public have anything to say?
I don't,
You can go ahead and make a motion. This is Nicole Franco. I actually want to refer back to something that was mentioned in the city manager's report, that comments and questions were not offered. But
Okay,
there's
well-
actually a couple of us with the same question, so if you want to go ahead and get back to us after you make your motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so,
I don't know if you're very
so,
funny about that.
so Cesar,
Yes.
were you going to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we prepare a resolution to accept the draft water and wastewater master plan.
I second it.
Okay, it has been moved by Councilman Flores to accept the resolution, and seconded by Vice Mayor Jordan. Now we'll have roll call vote.
Councilmember DeVries,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan,
Yes.
Mayor Edge.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So now we go on to item 5B. Consider a contract agreement with Harris and Associates not to exceed 22,000, is it 200?
200, thank you.
22,200 to conduct a sphere of influence study and authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
So this is an opportunity for Councilmember DeVries to describe the status of our first two meetings. And I've got on the screen now the mission statement that was approved by the ad hoc committee, and we welcomed our at-large committee member, Jackie Morris Lopez, and we had a lively 2-hour discussion a couple Mondays ago. The minutes were included in the packet, I hope. So, Councilmember DeVries, is there anything you wanted to highlight?
I'm not sure what you mean by highlight.
Well,
I can
go ahead and give
summarize.
us summarize what we covered.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Well, we started this journey with an eye towards developing an urban growth boundary. And shortly after embarking on that journey, we were informed of the fact that we do not have a valid sphere of influence that has been approved by LAFCO. And that's an absolute necessity. So we thought, boy, we better focus on that first, especially since there's a lot of similarities between an SOI analysis and a UGB analysis. So we then asked David Mack, who I think is on this call right now, he can jump in here anytime he wants, but we asked him to go back, or Don asked him rather, to go back and separate his proposal into just sphere of influence for the time being, and then we'll address UGB through the SOI portion of the process. And I think that's where we're at now. I just wanted to make one kind of editorial comment. I don't mean to get ahead of our UGB meeting on Monday, but just as a preview, and for Don's benefit, maybe David Mack's as well, as I have been thinking about this over the last week or so, I can't really envision a scenario whereby we would want a UGB that was larger than the SOI, or even really differentiated from the SOI in terms of boundary. So I'm wondering, this might be rhetorical, whether this budget amount that we have for the SOI analysis by David Mack comparison is going to get us almost all the way there as far as the UGB determination. In other words, won't the SOI line be also the UGB line? I kind of have a hunch it might. I know the two lines serve, or the two concepts serve different purposes, but I think it's going to be a very similar, if not identical, analysis, whereby we basically answer the question, how big should San Juan Bautista be? Where should we grow? Exactly. So, anyway, I think that's going to be an interesting conversation on Monday night at 6 p.m.
Right. And we can cover that when we meet on Monday.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Thank you.
So, Mayor, David is on the line, and you're welcome to summarize your scope, David, if you like. And then I just have a few references from LAFCO that I wanted to share. David, did you want to provide a summary of the proposed scope of work?
Sure. So, as Councilman DeVries said, the original proposal or contract was for the development of both the urban growth boundary and the sphere of influence. And after the first ad hoc committee meeting, the committee decided that because there was not because the sphere of influence shown in the general plan had not been adopted by LAFCO and is not in effect, they wanted to focus on that first. So the scope was reduced slightly to focus on the sphere. And through questions I could get into some details, but in the interest of the time, I'll just summarize it. The difference between the two is the sphere of influence acts as the immediate area to which the city may expand through annexation, and an urban growth boundary, while it can be the same as the sphere of influence area, in some instances is a larger ring, which shows where the city would like to grow to a maximum size. Some of the other differences are the urban growth boundary tends to be harder to move. Sphere of influence, while needed to be adopted by LAFCO, generally is revised and moved as the city grows and annexes more land, where the urban growth boundary may or may not. But for this, we're going to work with the city to develop and finalize where the city wants to amend that, and that's this process. So we will be, through the ad hoc committee, identifying where those appointed leaders of the city would like to draw the sphere of influence line, whether it's to the north, south, east, west, or in all of those areas. What size there would be, and we will need to identify potential annexations in the immediate future and or in the far future. Because when you adopt a sphere of influence, you need to ensure or demonstrate to LAFCO that you can provide city services to those, water and sewer. So as Don mentioned through the draft water and wastewater master plan, this process will need to work in collaboration with that, because the city needs to identify the capacity and the ability to serve future areas before annexation can be complete. So long story short, we did reduce it slightly. Full transparency, it wasn't a full reduction in cost because many of the same steps will still need to be taken. One of the bigger differences is potentially the CEQA review, which is not included in the scope. But the CEQA review for a sphere of influence should be less than the potential CEQA review for an urban growth boundary.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Oh,
David.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was
Okay.
interesting.
So that municipal service review is a report that LAFCO does. I think we would be asked to support that with our new plans and other information that we can use to inform it. And we want to be actively involved in it. We reviewed a 2007 municipal services review that the city did not participate in and therefore did not accurately reflect our ability to provide services. So LAFCO wanted me to be sure and point that out tonight, that they would perhaps help us pay for the study, and that the city and Harris will work together to prevent both the sphere of influence and the MSR to LAFCO when we're ready for approval. So that's it, Mayor.
All right, so let's see, now we open it up to the public.
Right.
Do we have any public comment?
Nicole, did Nicole want to talk on it?
It had nothing to do with
It's not on this. I'll bring Nicole's up later on.
Okay. Okay, I don't see any.
No, okay. So if not, we'll go on and we need a motion to approve the agreement with Harrison Associates.
I move that we accept the Harris plan and agree to fund the survey.
I second the motion.
Okay, so we have the motion made by Councilman Freeman and seconded by Councilman DeVries.
Roll call vote. Councilmember DeVries,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yeah.
Councilmember Jordan,
Yes.
Mayor Edge.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll go on to action item, approve a resolution enforcing San Juan Bautista Ordinance 2020-02 that added Section 28 to Title 5, banning the use of certain plastics and establishing a sustainable food serviceware and retail bags ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. The report. That's falling off.
Where's that aging thing?
Where's that aging thing? Sorry about that. Anyone with sensitive ears, my microphone just crashed. It wasn't me. It was the microphone. The report before you is a follow-up item. Interestingly enough, as I went back through the history, the brief history of our efforts to control the use of single-use plastics in our community, it was to go into effect the same night we declared a state of an emergency on March 17th. And at that time, the ordinance was written in such a way to provide a little bit of flexibility for folks. It was collaboration with integrated waste management, their slides indicated that recently that the use of single-use plastics has increased 200 to 300%, that we needed to work closely with each local business as we implement this, and we're fortunate to have our community liaison involved and engaged with our businesses, that there is a hardship clause at the end of the ordinance where the city manager can grant up to 1 year for a business to come into compliance should they not be able to come into compliance by a new deadline. But it was the council's direction to staff and I believe Councilmember Jordan and DeVries met with Integrated Waste Management and talked about a potential deadline. So March 17, we set up a 60-day grace period for the businesses to come into compliance, or that would be May 14th. And then what was recommended from the conversation with Councilmember DeVries and Jordan was to consider tonight a December 31st proposed compliance date. But just to remind people, food services are defined both either as dine-in or dine-out. And we do have a hybrid of that version happening now under COVID. One restaurant where you order your food and then you dine out on their establishment on their beautiful patio. So you know, there's going to have to be some business by business estimation on how we would implement that. Their kitchen is being redone. Their dishwasher probably does not function. So give them a grace period to get their dishwasher up and running. There's another business that doesn't have a dishwasher. And then for dine out, food service is exempt from plastic bag limitations, so you can carry out your to-go order in a plastic bag. They're not considered as a retail business in that situation. Nonetheless, it does ban styrofoam, it does ban plastic straws, it does ban plastic bags from the grocery store and other retail businesses. So it is an effective policy and is at least a start in getting a control over our use and reliance on single-use plastics. So what I did, Mayor, was I drafted a resolution based on our current enforcement section 2.7 in our municipal code. And that process is an education first process with a compliance notice. And if you don't comply within a certain amount of time, then there's a failure to comply would lead to fines. And those fines are described in the staff report and the resolution for you. And the recommendation is to continue to work with our business forum and receive feedback and as we move forward. So that's it. It's a pretty simple process. If the council wishes to change that resolution or change the fine levels or anything like that, I'm here to listen and take notes, and we'll make changes as deemed appropriate.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilman Flores, do you have any suggestions or any comments, questions regarding this?
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
I have a question about exempt. It says exempt on the slide, exempt from plastic bag limitation. Takeout only orders can't be packaged in a plastic bag. Is that
Yes, correct, Councilmember. Takeout only is exempt. So a restaurant, yeah.
Okay. Councilman Freeman?
Dan.
DeVries?
Yes, thank you, and I'll let Leslie jump in here at any point as well. But yes, she and I worked with Integrated Waste Management, had a lot of conversations about this single-use plastics ban. And as we all know, it went into effect a long time ago. And as we also know, some of the chief contributors to single-use plastic refuse in the city were not affected by COVID-19. Matter of fact, they may have done a little bit better during the pandemic, sales-wise. I'm referencing the grocery store primarily. So we thought that a December 31 deadline for compliance was reasonable. We especially like the idea of starting off, San Juan Bautista starts off a green new year, 2021, San Juan Green Year. I think that's kind of a neat goal to strive for. And the thing that we also lastly focused on, where we're mindful of, is the fact that the ordinance has what I call a relief valve, so that if an individual business has a hardship or a set of special circumstances, they can come to the city manager and explain those to Don, and then Don can make provision for those circumstances on a case-by-case basis. But overall, I think the town should strive for a December 31st deadline and then make exceptions where exceptions are warranted. But as opposed to the alternative, which would just be to keep kicking this can down the road and continue it indefinitely, which doesn't seem necessary to me or benefiting for the city.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything to say, Vice Mayor?
I did. It was a great meeting that we had last week, and having the December 31st deadline or goal seemed reasonable enough since it had already been on the books since February 2020, and like Dan said, it does have that relief valve for that. That's a great term.
Yeah.
A relief valve for anybody who needs that, and on a case-by-case basis can go through our city manager. So yeah, I'm excited to get this moving forward and finally closed out after 8 months.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any comments from the public?
I do. I have a comment. What would that know? They can go first.
Yes. Hi, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Who is this?
Hi, this is Dan Fernandez. I'm a faculty member at CSU Monterey Bay.
Go ahead, thank you, great.
And I and my students last year, part of the capstone class, were a part of this activity, which of course happened prior to even the faintest idea of knowing where we'd be this year as a result of the COVID lockdown and everything that's fallen out from it. But I just wanted to say that the report they created, I was really happy that it was able to be of use, I know, in city manager's considerations and perhaps in other members. I was not able to attend the meeting on Monday, but I'm very pleased that our class was able to work with the city so successfully last year. You're a great city partner, and Don was a great city manager to be working with us as much as he could, given his many tasks as city manager. I also want to say, this is related, is that I have my students here today from my current class. It's a new class, also conducting research, and we're going to be looking at a lot of different characteristics of cities across the state of California, including San Juan Bautista, that will allow you a template to compare yourselves and whatever you would like with other cities in the state, to look for similarities and possibly allegiances or alliances in terms of some of your goals or some of the characteristics that you might enable you to capitalize upon the, I'd say, the knowledge that other cities have, and perhaps they could capitalize upon your knowledge as well in different areas where you're trying to, always trying to grow in different respects, hopefully with respect to improving and enhancing your sustainability. So, but I wanted to say that we're still active and we still plan to attend city council meetings every month until December.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Okay, good. I'm so happy to hear your voice and your report. Thank you so much.
Yes, the report is excellent, and if the city wants to stand up and be a leader, it can share this report with another jurisdiction that's interested in this project. And the students did an excellent job putting this report together, Dan. I just wanted to reiterate how great the report was and what a great tool it is for leading other cities in the same direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and keep up the great work at San Juan Bautista.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for partnering with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else?
We have Nicole Franco with her hand raised.
Go ahead.
Hi. So my question was just piggybacking on a question of Kara Vaughn's in regards to something that was mentioned about Veruti Park's restrooms. I'm just really, really curious to know the specific reason for an additional $40,000 put out for new blueprints to be done. I'd like to know what was faulty in the previous blueprint where we could not use them.
Can we address this later?
Yeah,
This is Jim.
This is the comments that are accepted from the public are items
Well-
that are not
So-
on the agenda.
So I'm happy to pick that up at the end of the meeting under city manager comments. I can answer that question for you. I just want to wait until the appropriate time. So I made note of your question, and we'll pick it up at the end of the agenda if that's okay.
Thank you for your comment, Nicole. Okay, so now we'll go on.
Any other? Yeah.
I make a motion. Dan, you want to make this motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd be honored to make the motion.
Okay. That's a second.
To implement that which I started a long, long time ago. It's a nice day. I make a motion that the city council approve the resolution as prepared by the city manager with all the terms and conditions as set forth in the staff report.
I second.
So there's a motion made by Councilman DeVries and seconded by Councilman Flores.
Roll call vote, Councilmember DeVries,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan,
Yes.
Mayor Edge.
Yes.
All members of the council being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations, Dan.
You did it again.
Okay. So now,
Thank you very much, you guys, and I appreciate support and everybody coming together on this issue. I think it's really going to benefit our town. And as the integrated waste management gal said, they're really looking forward to San Juan Bautista serving as an example to other communities like Hollister, et cetera. So it's a good day for us.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to go on to discussion items. 6A, COVID-19 update.
Thank you, Mayor Vasquez-Edge. I'm getting there. We're going to be done soon. That's great. We're doing great. I wanted to, as required by our state of emergency codes, reconfirm our state of emergency. We are still in a state of emergency, so wear your masks, keep your distance, etc. We remain in the purple state, and I shared this slide with the council last Tuesday, September 8th. And maybe it's a little small this time around, but basically what I'm trying to show in this column here is that our positivity rate at that time was over 12, and that as of September 15th, it's come down to 8.1, and the threshold is 8. So that's really great work in just the last week. And then similar, but not quite as dramatic, the positive cases per 100,000 was over 20 and is now down to 16.1. That has to get down to 7. So we're still twice where we need to be, but that's progress. So I wanted to share that and hopefully shed some positive light on this subject. Last Tuesday, we heard concerns during this conversation on COVID about enforcement. And so this is some of the steps that we took since last Tuesday. We've presented enforcement, mask enforcement, wearing masks, to the business forum on last Tuesday and the Tuesday before. So we went out before this weekend, before the busy time of the week, and we posted some new signs, and they simply say no mask equals a $100 fine, at least, minimum. We deployed our code enforcement officer during the weekend, 7 hours on Saturday, 7 hours on Sunday. It was an education campaign where he introduced himself to every business that was open, provided his contact information and business card, and invited businesses to contact him should they have any problems or concerns regarding people complying with the state law to wear a mask. Code enforcement can carry masks, and we have masks for him to carry in the event that someone simply forgot one. He can help them out. So that's part of our education as well as compliance efforts. And that's stepped up significantly since a week ago. So we'll be out again this weekend doing the same thing. We're going to be improving our outreach. There are some great short videos that the state has offered because, after all, this is their mandate that we're implementing on their behalf. So it's great to have all of these different tools, and we'll make use of them. And we'll continue to work, of course, with the business forum, including tomorrow morning. So I wanted to give the council an update on our mask enforcement and what we've done since last Tuesday. And then I had some interesting conversations before this morning. Councilmember DeVries, who sent me a text before the chickens woke up, regarding Halloween. And yes, this is an item, an issue, a question on the International City Managers websites. City managers throughout the country are asking what to do about Halloween. I provided the council this afternoon with Los Angeles County's health policy regarding Halloween, where they had actually reversed a trend. They were trying to outlaw trick-or-treating altogether, but instead they're encouraging families not to participate and not to have kids go door to door. And that's kind of a frightening thought. It could quickly spread through your whole city. So that's something that we need to look at. And so I sent the LA policy to the San Benito County Public Health, and Tracy Belton assured me that they're working on a local policy for us to follow and implement so we can get the message out to our community as soon as possible. So that's the update on Halloween that we added this morning to our slide presentation under COVID, so that the council could chime in if they had any direction or any questions that I could answer. And that's all my presentation. Oh, and the next subject, of course, is the Christmas parade. But I'll wait till the next meeting to talk about how we thoughts and ideas on a COVID Christmas parade. So we'll leave it at Halloween for now.
All right. So, Vice Mayor Jordan, do you have any comments on the report, the COVID update?
I do, thank you. There was something online today about San Benito County schools opening for a 5-hour opening. Is that because we're down?
It's the county, all the schools that are out in the county.
Oh, it's the rural schools. It's just smaller rural schools.
Got it, understood. Okay, cool, thank you.
They're all little schools.
Each school can provide can submit a request for a waiver. So these are waivers that are being granted by the state independently.
Okay, this would be something like Bitterwater?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
You might have
understood.
only maybe one child or two.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we are still purple, which is still the most restrictive.
Got it. Thank you for that. And then the state law on wearing face coverings is on our website.
Right.
Am I correct in that?
Yes.
So for all of y'all out there, it's out on our website.
Right.
So, is that it? Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
Got that.
So,
Thank you for that, Don.
Councilman Flores, do you have any questions or comments on the report?
I have one comment. I would like to see in the discussion 6A, have Dia de los Muertos on there.
Yes, of course.
Hey, we gotta hit the Mexican side of town.
Thank you.
All dead matter?
So, Councilman Freeman, do you have anything to say? Any comments, questions?
No, I think I'm glad that Don put out the LA policy. I hope the San Benito one follows closely. It's unfortunate, but parties are kind of a thing of the past if we want to stay healthy. It's it's sad, but it's the way it is.
Good, thank you. So, Councilman Freeman?
Dan.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep doing that. Councilman Dan DeVries.
Yes, thank you. Don, I noticed in the LA policy, parties and things like that were forbidden, but as regards trick-or-treating or car-to-car, that kind of thing, they said not recommended. Do you anticipate that San Benito County is going to follow something similar to that?
I didn't get any indication from Tracy what direction she was considering going in. So to me, it still sounds like it's in draft form, like we're maybe out a little ahead of her with this question. So I'm not sure. I just don't know yet.
When are you supposed to hear back from her?
We have a Friday morning Emergency Operations Center meeting, so she'll probably give us a status Friday morning.
Do you know if Hollister is going to, like, is Hollister and us going to kind of do the same thing? Probably.
Probably following the county's lead, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I can give you an email report before I go Friday on anything that comes out of the 9 a.m. meeting.
Yeah, I would like something on that. And the only comment I have is that I think that we need to come up with something of our own and have it in place.
Uh-huh.
And then that way we can, kind of
Advertise
blend
it.
it with that. And we need to advertise.
To promote it, yeah.
To let people know that we're not going to allow trick or treating, not to allow their children to go out. We need to start now.
Yeah.
We need to start letting people know now.
Now is better.
Yes.
So we have two hands. I think Nicole was first.
Okay, go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, okay, thank you for touching base and updating us on what you have in regards to, the mask, mandatory out in public. My question is, last weekend, or last meeting we spoke, you mentioned that Rich Brown, who is our code enforcer, had been out for a couple of weeks, and then today you mentioned that he is still out. So I'd like to know who has been in his replacement out there besides paper put up on walls, trying to enforce your mask mandated for fine giving.
Right. We do not have the depth to have a backup code enforcement officer, so we look forward to having Rich back on board full speed ahead. Yeah.
But Rich was back.
So then nobody is out there enforcing our little town.
No, Nicole, Rich was out this weekend. He
And
was
last week
he
and the
was
week
he
before
was
that.
here. He was here Saturday and Sunday.
Out meaning he was out and about
Sorry.
in town.
Yeah, he was not out, not in town. He was in town enforcing.
So what are his days that he's working now, since he's only putting 20 hours a weekend?
He's working mostly afternoons and mostly like a Wednesday through Sunday schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else?
Yes, Jackie has her hand up.
Jackie,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of our little city taking the lead over the county and Hollister to enforce this ordinance and actually draft one up. My question is, you stated that the code enforcer was out on the weekend, 7 hours on both days. I think that makes logical sense because we are a tourist town, and I think it's really good to have a visibility and just kind of work with the businesses and people that are strolling on the streets that we are serious about our code enforcement here with the maps. My question is, or my concern actually, is doing, I think, probably a more concerted effort or outreach to the businesses, I guess, bars or breweries or pubs that are serving alcohol and food, because once again, I stated last week that my concern was that the proximity of the patrons that are sitting and drinking, they don't look to be 6 feet apart for me. I'd be hard pressed to take a measurement tape out there and say that they're 6 feet apart, especially the parklet in front of Daisy's bar. The other thing, as you know, with this virus, it's an aerosol spread. And if people are sitting in close proximity, closer than the social distancing requirement, and you're sitting out there with a little bit of a breeze and you're not wearing a mask and you're sitting there for 2 hours, nursing a drink or having several drinks, maybe a bag of chips and half a hot dog, which qualifies as a meal now, I have some great concern about that. And perhaps, asking the bar owners to self-monitor is not quite the optimum thing to do. And how will you address these concerns that I've just outlined for you? Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Anyone else? So if not, it looks like we're all done with that.
Yeah, that's just a discussion.
So now we go, we finished the discussion. So now we go on to item 6B. November 3rd, 2020 election write-in period open until October 20, 2020. City clerk.
So Laura, probably, I don't know if you were prepared, but Trish put this slide together for us just to give the council a quick update that we don't have candidates for city clerk or city treasurer, and that if there was to be a write-in candidate, that's still open until October 20th. That was my understanding.
That's correct. You need to do all the same paperwork that the other candidates have done, and you need to get the required number of signatures from registered voters within San Juan Bautista. The only addition is you do have to make a statement of write-in candidacy, and it's just saying, it just includes certain pieces of information, your name, your address, a declaration that you are a write-in candidate, and the title of the office that you would be running for. So if anyone has any questions on the paperwork, wants to pick up the required paperwork, you can contact the Deputy City Clerk at City Hall, and she can help you with that.
And this notice is on our website as part of our packet tonight as well.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. So what about the treasurer?
Either one, the treasurer or city clerk.
Okay. They didn't
Yeah.
put it on there, so I just wondered.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyone
it.
else have any comments, questions? Councilman Flores? Councilman Flores, do you have any questions, comments?
No, no question. no
Okay,
comment.
thank you. Councilman DeVries?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
No questions or comments at this time.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Jordan?
None, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we go on to item 7, comments. So do you have a comment, Councilman Freeman?
No, I would really like to thank Dan and his class, and hopefully we can work with him on another project soon, even this semester maybe, or quarter, whatever it is that the school goes to.
Okay, good. Councilman Flores?
I just want to thank everyone for showing up to the meeting. I'm glad to see that the city's involved in helping us along.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman DeVries?
Yes, I just wanted to pitch an idea that I had today, which is that big plywood wall next to the bakery. I'm just throwing this out there. I have no idea about the practicality of it, but what if we had a mural contest, like Rio or kids or something? They could submit an idea of what they would paint on that wood, and we could make that really kind of a cool addition to downtown instead of just being a big plywood wall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jordan?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you, everyone. City Manager, do you have anything, any last comments?
Sure. And Nicole reminded me, because the mayor and I talked about Baruti Park, so I just wanted to just really quick. We had a design from a draftsman for a restroom for that park, and the restroom was not an industrial strength restroom. It was drywall and not designed to last as long as a park restroom needs to be designed. So we solicited bids from professional architect firms, and they were coming in at $40,000, $43,000, and we chose not to go in that direction, and instead we were admiring how attractive the prefabricated restrooms are and how inexpensive they are. So we had budgeted $200,000 to put that restroom in this year, and we're finding prices for one that's already designed and built at about $60,000. If we wanted to go with a prefab restroom, we'd have to return to the Planning Commission and get their approval so that they could select the best design that would be suitable for Baruti Park. But that was the whole point, was to change from this formal design bid process to a less expensive, more efficient way to do it. So that's what I tried to say in the staff report, and I think I just left out about 10 sentences. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm happy to answer any other questions the council may have.
have anything from our city attorney, Deb Moll?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do. All right, so if we're all done, we'll adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dan, for bringing your class. That was great.